right. Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Chris Huckis, and this is your Best Life Defined. How are you doing today? 361 podcasts. 4 days from now, I will have hit my mark. 365, right? Wow. That's cool. That's cool. It's cool for me because a year ago when I started this quest, and granted, the idea of doing 365, it may have diminished the quality of the podcast simply because I'm having to produce so many. But I put that out there because I wanted to challenge myself. I wanted to face something that I've never accomplished, that I've never done, and to look back on it and be able to say, hell yeah, look what we did. Look what I did. 365, nearly as many videos. Is it great? Yeah. But that's probably not as much because of the content as because the majority of people aren't ready to hear this. Most people just, you look at it and you're like, I don't know what he's saying. I don't understand it. I'm doing the best I can. I'm living my best life, right? I'm happy. Well, that's really what it comes down to. That's really where it starts, right? Are you happy? And see, there's the mistake. We can't really base our decisions on that emotion, right? Because if you think about it, the moment you believe you're happy, you find contentment in where you're at. Where's the motivation to move in any other direction? This is good enough. I'm good enough. I'm in my pond, sitting in my pond. Yeah, I don't get to go to Alaska. Yeah, I don't get to go salmon fishing. I don't get to spend any time in Hawaii surfing. Don't get to spend the summer or the winter exploring Australia. Whenever you explore Australia, right? No, but we're happy, right? You realize the trap in that? The trap in the idea of being happy is that once we accept where we are and we find that level of contentment, there's no reason for us to push beyond that. And the system, it's set up, it's perfect. The system that we live, the system we embrace, that we call our lives, you grow up and you have dreams, and those dreams become narrower and narrower, and then there's fewer and fewer of them. But the one dream we can all count on is we're all going to own a house. Oh, and it's going to be a nice one too. And those people that love us, the people who are helping us grow and become successful adults, they're going to nurture that idea because that's how they've been trained. So what we do is we run out and we buy this house, and there's not even any heartache. It might be a little scary for someone who's never been in debt, but the idea of running out and going in debt for a mortgage of $400,000 is just like, oh, okay, all right. It's a celebration. It's a party. Actually, what happens is people go in debt when they buy their new house, and then they throw a party because of it. And then when everybody's gone, they sit back and they look at that big payment, and they start filling that life up. Filling it up with all kinds of stuff. You can't put old junky furniture in a brand new house. Got to get new furniture. What are your friends and family going to say when they show up and it's like, is that the couch from the other house? Yeah. And no one admits we couldn't really afford to buy a new couch. or maybe the better story would be we didn't really want to go in debt to buy a new couch. You're sitting on it, right? It's still working. I don't know. The inspiration for me to get where I am right now is the fact that I believed it. Almost 365 podcasts. I kept telling myself I could do it. The back of my mind, I'm thinking, I hope I can do it. But the story kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and that's where the motivation came. And when you look at your choices, that's the motivation for you too. There's a story behind why you chose the life you chose. What's the story? Well, the story is it's safe. The story is there's a level of contentment. This is what happiness looks like. This is why we seem to hold on to this idea that the world cares about what we have and what we do. The only people who care about what we have or what we do are those people who are directly impacted by what we have and what we do. I understand that a lot of people, a lot of my friends, a lot of you guys, some people listen to this podcast and they'll go, this ain't for me. I'm not offended by that. I understand that completely. It doesn't fit that picture of where you're at. You've got that image painted of how great your life is and what your life looks like. And it's only by stepping beyond that and changing that image that you can actually accept some crazy ass idea like mine, where my suggestion is basically, hey, live a better life by making sure the things in your life fit who you are and the life you want to live, right? And the impression I were in the beginning, I guess I gave that up. I said in the beginning, my story was, you're buying stuff, you don't need a house, you don't need a big house. But I never really went into the reason why. Well, the reason that I was saying that was because I knew that there was a connection between our level of true contentment, that is, living our best life, that is, waking up energized and excited with fuel in our tank about the things we get to do. And that's not to say to be excited or energized about everything we get to do. But it's about waking up and being energized because you have managed to allow yourself to get to know who you are. There's a reason you bought the house, the car, have all this stuff. Your priorities are where they are. You don't mind working 5-6 days a week with 1 day off, where you maybe 2 weeks out of the year you get to go play, have some fun, do stuff you dream of doing, but you just can't figure out how. There's a reason. It's because we fall into this trap of believing that the status quo, that is the package deal that we all seem to inherit, is perfect for us. And to a degree it is, right? But we have to scale it. You have to scale it based on who you are. And the reason we have so much trouble getting connected to who we are is because we're so distracted. If your phone were to go off right now in the middle of this podcast, there's a chance you'd stop the podcast and look at your phone, because what's on the phone is more interesting than some random guy telling you how to live your best life. Guarantee it. It's a distraction. And then you sell that on top of that, you sell it with these amazing pictures of how life should be. And then, of course, we perpetuate this lie ourselves, right? We're the biggest perpetuators of this lie, because look at your social media feed. Beautiful pictures of smiling faces. Out here doing this. We got a new car. We got a new house. We got a new couch. Look at our lawns coming in. We remodeled the bathroom. Hip, hip, hooray. None of that for me. I mean, I guess if it fits, and that's where this thing is. If that fits, if you wake up energized because you have a fancy bathroom and everything about your life is in order because everything about your life fits who you are, that's exactly where you're supposed to be. But I guarantee you not everyone is there. And the problem we face is that we believe that we should be exactly like those around us. We believe the story that if you go in debt for a big house, bigger is better and fancy cars are important. Now here's the real story. The truth is you need a place to live, right? The truth is you need a place to get out of the weather and to fix your food. Call it a house. Oh, well, that's a good idea. Doesn't matter what it is. I live in a fifth wheel. Where we get sidetracked on this whole idea of living our best life is that we jump beyond what we need or what enhances our life, and we take it the other way to where it actually restricts our choices. Imagine now, just think about this. Imagine for a second that your house cost half as much as it did, or even better than that. Let's just say that you owe half as much money as you do now. In this instant, bam! Instead of all that debt, you owe half of it. Imagine what that would do in the way of choices for your life. No matter how it happened, imagine what you could do in the way of chasing things that you truly enjoy, doing things you love. I'm not going to argue with anybody about the idea that it's more fun to do things you enjoy than the things you have to do, right? And you're going to work. And this podcast is no promise that you're not going to have to work your ass off, because you do. That's how it works, right? But what we're talking about here is what it gives you. What it gives you. And the car dealer is never going to tell you, the salesman on the floor is not going to say, hey, listen, Chris, I see where you're going, man. I see where you're going with this, but I think you better step back, because that's a $700 a month payment for 72 months. I mean, think about it, Chris. What's it going to do to the rest of your life? What things are you not going to be able to do because of that $700 a month payment? And then you add that to a $1,400 house payment. If your whole life centers around those two objects, that is, you love that vehicle and that's what you're about, and you polish it and you clean it and that's your identity, and you wake up excited and energized about driving it. You get up in the morning and you can't wait for the weekend because you want to pull weeds and plant flowers, and grass is amazing. And when you're sitting there doing those things, you can't imagine doing anything else. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. You are exactly where you're supposed to be. See, in Sandy, in our case, in Sandy and our case, we were doing that same thing. 3,000 square foot house, acre and a quarter land, irrigation ditch, sprinkler systems, 2 vehicles. Actually, at one point we had 3 vehicles, garage full of stuff, house full of stuff. And what I discovered was, well, I'm mowing that lawn and I'm fixing that fence and I'm adjusting those doors and I'm organizing the garage for the 1,000th time. I was thinking about all the things I wanted to be doing instead. All of the things I wish I could be doing, but I can't. It's Friday night, I'm drinking a few beers. I would really like to go fishing, go hiking, go mountain biking, go do anything except spread 30 tons of rock by hand with a wheelbarrow. Right? It all comes down to what you believe. See, and what's interesting is I'm not here to change your life. Your mind. I'm not here to change your mind. My whole goal here is to give you another perspective on the choices you've made and maybe guide you towards making it fit. There's a reason you don't buy size 13 boots, especially if you wear size 10. I talk about the RV and the fifth wheel. The reason we live in this fifth wheel is because it fits. It fits financially. It fits efficient-wise, because guess what? I have everything I need to do what I love to do. I have a place to sleep. I have a place to fix my food. I have a place to clean up and get ready and get out of the rain. But what it doesn't do is it doesn't inhibit me from making choices beyond that. If Sandy and I wanted to head out today and go traveling and pull this thing around, we could. We can go anywhere. We just got done, little sideline here, we just got done planning our trip from Colorado up to Grand Rapids, Michigan, and we're going through we're going to Devil's Tower and through South Dakota, and we're going up in through Wisconsin, and we're going to go drop into Michigan through the Upper Peninsula. This trip, this amazing adventure where we get to see places we've never seen. We're going to stop in at the Dells in Wisconsin, check that out. Ought to be pretty cool. Got a nice place to stay. Our last week is in Michigan, about 2 hours away from Grand Rapids, where my daughter and my son-in-law and our grandbaby is. And it's like, wow. And if I had that big house that I sold 5 years ago, I would be wondering if I could afford to do this. I would be wondering if I had the time to do it, because the yard needs to be taken care of, and who's going to check on things when we're gone, and blah, 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 blah. You're going to take your life in whatever direction it goes based on what you believe. Granted, the story's fine, but there's something wrong with a story that actually reduces your opportunities, reduces your choices. And when you're swimming in debt, when you work because you have to for things that are okay, I'm sure you don't mind going home to a nice home. But if I told you, hey, listen, here's a way for you to go fishing after work instead of going home and pulling weeds, I bet there's a majority of people out there say, tell me about that, right? And if you're not ready for this, if you listen to this podcast and you say it doesn't make any sense, how do I change what I have? Keep listening. I'll guide you through it. We'll get you there, right? Point is, I'm in it now. I'm close to 365. I was thinking about reformatting the whole podcast and changing things up. I don't know. I'm okay with it. And for those people who decide, hey, listen, I want to live a better life, how can I do it? And jump onto the 3 steps, pick it, build a story around it, and then go after it, take action on it. Your opportunities are endless. So I'm just one guy. I show up here every day and I keep thinking to myself, I got this dream in my head. I got this idea in my head. I'm like, yeah, someone's going to get it. And what's cool is I've had a couple conversations this week where people do get it. And they're like, okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that makes a hell of a lot of sense. So I don't know, guys. I'm going to keep showing up. I was talking about going to a weekly format. I don't know if I'm going to do that or not. I kind of like doing this daily thing. Keeps me on my toes, keeps me energized, keeps me focused. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully it gets better for me and for you, because you're the one that has to endure this crap. Sometimes I'm just off the cuff. But the point is, you are going to live the life you believe. And when you believe in great things, your life becomes great. And the last thing you need to do is tell yourself stories about how happy you are, when the reality is that happiness is generated from acceptance and not from the true inspiration that comes from what you do. You wake up tomorrow, take a look at the things you do tomorrow all day long, and then ask yourself, how does it feel? Do you feel inspired? If you don't, then I suggest, and I can't make you do it. I mean, if you don't do it, it's not going to change my life any, right? I'm going to continue to do what I do, right? And it works for me, right? But if you don't insert something that inspires you, chances are you won't have the fuel to take anything you want to do beyond where it is now. And there you are. You're sitting in your pool, in your pond. Life isn't changing much. Anticipating retirement. Someday when you can have a bunch of fun. Someday when you're debt free. I don't know. It's time's ticking. It's coming by pretty fast. It's going quick. So I know, guys. Hey, listen, I appreciate you showing up every day. I continue to do this because I care about you. I think there is another way to do it. I think what stops a lot of us is the fact that we just don't know how to get that thing started. And I believe me, I didn't either at first. And then I started watching videos and started having conversations with Sandy about what our life could look like. And I started getting excited about it, and she got excited about it. And the next thing you know, we're free. We're debt free. We're free to live and move where we want to within reason. And is it perfect? No, it's not always perfect. There are days I wake up and I go, crap, what am I doing, right? And then there are days I wake up and I think, man, it could be a hell of a lot worse. Thank you for what we did, right? So keep that in mind. Keep a smile on your face. Let's not forget the kindness. And as always, just remember, today's your day. Make it a good one.